Hello and welcome to the Tangents Podcast, where we...
For context, everybody, we've been playing with our soundboards for like 5 minutes before actually recording.
Don't know what you're talking about. Absolutely don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, welcome to the Tangents Podcast.
You're really putting that in the episode. That wasn't your Discord. If you just checked it, I apologize. On behalf of the podcast, I apologize.
I am in full recline mode. My brain is empty. Let's do a podcast, my dude. Hello and welcome to the Tangents Podcast. The podcast where me and Cam, we take the conversational thread and just see wherever it goes. Was that even close to the intro this time?
No, that was closer than normal. You're getting there.
Hell yeah. Today we got two topics, and we're going to go and discuss them. They're very relative to what we talk about and what we do, which is kind of normal. We'll see how it goes.
I'm picking up on some self-confidence issues here with this one, Alex, and I got to say something. I actually think that the way that we do the podcast as far as topics go, because it's almost always life lessons that we've learned or are learning, and I think that's extremely relevant, especially given the relative age of our audience. So I think, the fact that we've picked two topics that are very relevant to creatives and to people who, might not fully figure themselves out, I think we've picked some really good ones today.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. Hang on, I'm turning my fan off because
I have basically started mentally referring to the podcast as a slice of life podcast.
Oh no. Let's not.
Anyway, since God won't give me an 800-year-old fox spirit, we're going to be talking about our pains today. I kid.
Keep praying. Maybe one day.
Real talk? No, I've been thinking about this all day because I'm mad about it.
800-year-old fox spirits?
Have you noticed that a lot of the more interesting and novel concepts for slice of life animes are tainted by pedophilia routinely?
I don't like this topic that you have brought to the table. This is a weird energy and subject matter.
It makes me mad, but we'll move on. But no, so the thing is, we both pick a topic. That's normally how the show works. So, for example, today, I picked expectations and self-image in a creative space because I am a failure, which means I'm really cool, actually.
Oh my God.
Failure's great. Straight up and down. Whenever you fail, you learn something mission critical, and I think that's really good. But, it can also take a little bit of a mental toll. So I wanted to just I don't know, I feel like you and I both have a lot of lessons that we can teach people from this one, Yeah.
I mean, I always feel a little bit conscious about talking about this kind of stuff because with anything that you listen to from anyone, there's always going to be some sort of bias and whatnot. And I always try and keep as much bias away from anything when I'm speaking publicly, which makes it very interesting trying to do Calbus. Let me tell you. That's why whilst you're doing Calbus, you tend to talk about stories about your life and whatnot, and I just go off the wall kind of thing.
Well, my thing is bias is inherently natural, which is why I feel no need to shy away from it.
This is true. This is very true.
For example, we mentioned this a couple of episodes ago. I brought this up very specifically because I wanted to also talk about some plans with you, but in a way that is public, because giving public eye on some of my thoughts tends to actually get me some really valuable insight, I find.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the same idea as if you're trying to learn something, talking through it with someone. Tends to connect the wires because you're thinking it through in your head and explaining it to yourself and the other person, and that solidifies it in your mind. It's the same concept.
I actually do a huge majority of my programming and sculpting inside group chats now because it's I can talk with people, and if I really hit a wall, I can just bring it up with them. But so here's the thing. Every last person on this world, I think, has someone they want to be.
Keanu Reeves.
Would you say that's a fair, assumption?
Yeah, I want to be Keanu Reeves. Wait, no, I want to be Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo from esteemed film, The Avengers.
I mean, then you don't Ruffles chips, so, you'd be in a good place, regardless of acting.
Look, man, it was lost in the divorce. He doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Oh, unfortunate. But yeah, no, so, I feel like everyone has someone who they want to be. We all kind of put this on ourselves in different ways. For example, I've got my normal gimmick of big Northman energy, a set of guiding principles to help me towards those expectations for myself. Everyone has their code of conduct, and they want to stick to it as much as they can.
For me, that kind of just boils down to don't be an asshole and try and be the best person you can be to yourself and others.
I mean, yeah, no, that's perfectly, that's good.
Yeah, the to myself part still needs work, but still.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's their own worst critic. Let's be real about that. But like, I've been talking about this with my therapist. I've been talking about this with my friends. Like, I've been going over this topic a lot because your expectations, I feel, can make or break you and your creative endeavors. Let me explain. So the thing is, I'm going to give an example that if you've been following me for years, the restraining order is already in the court. You've lost. Please stop. But second of all, you might have heard this name before, Minigame Monthly.
Oh, right. Okay, so this is the direction this is going in. Okay.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think I've failed enough that I have something I can tell people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Minigame Monthly, to give a broad overview of this concept, was supposed to be a narratively driven, not high quality, I'm not that good, but it was supposed to be like of moderate quality, and it was supposed to be a way to subvert the normal like Let's Play expectations and make like a narrative out of it. So the intent was I'd make a game every month, people would be competing, and at some point it would deviate off into its own narrative thing, and the minigame portion of it would be lost.
You know what I'm starting to realize now? If you had brought that out at the time that you originally started working on it, you would have predated what would essentially have become a mix between Survivor, the TV show, and what is now the Minecraft SMP lore streams.
Yes, I would have predated that. It would have predated Wayne Radio TV's Half-Life, but the AI is self-aware. If I had pulled it off, Alex, I would be king. That's putting it grandiosely, but it would have been, I think, of acceptable size.
Yeah. I mean, looking back on it, it's actually kind of interesting to see all the ideas that you were bringing forward. And yeah, the scope was... Yeah, but it
was bullshit.
Yeah, it was just boom. But the ideas that were in it, they were solid, and the like seeing other large things that have popped up over the last couple of years, having like main elements of what you were pulling together into a larger project, it's been kind of weird.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm clairvoyant or anything like that. But like, I feel like a lot of creatives were not very unique.
No, I have very strong opinions on the creative landscape of online creation at the moment.
Here's the thing. No creative is unique because we're all unique, if that makes sense. Like, every idea that you can have is a mashup of two ideas you've been introduced to in your life prior. Like, there's a sentence. That's why you see so many quirky JRPGs about depression coming out of the indie scene. Like, well,
that's also more a case of the topic of mental health is being more normalized and being spoken about now.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing. I'm saying it is like a lot of people are dealing with, depression as a concept, and they choose, JRPGs as the medium through which to express it. But you'll notice that we've seen a lot of JRPGs like that, which, I mean, says a lot of people have the idea of depression, and by the idea of, I mean just straight depression, but you get what I mean, like...
Yeah, I mean, depression is kind of rampant at the moment.
It was a poor example to choose, but, like, it's basically like, every idea that we have is two ideas combined. And this idea was... Rooster Teeth's old Minecraft Let's Plays, where they were competing for the Tower of Pimps, and depression. I'm not unique, but that was the whole thing. But the expectations I put on this series and on myself to pull it off made it functionally impossible to ever pull off. Because the thing is it was just too much for one person. And because it was too much for one person, I put too many expectations on myself. So inevitably the project would repeatedly crash and burn. I have tried to do it at least 4 or 5 times, and I've been thinking about doing it again. But I'm a grown man who's made mistakes. Which means I won't, but I will.
I mean, you can always you're going to make brand new mistakes anyway, but you should have the tools to deal with them.
Like, here's the thing. I've learned a little bit. As you grow older, you kind of learn how to stop foiling yourself, which is great.
Wait, you do?
At least, yeah, allegedly.
Oh.
But the thing is, though, is like, I'm trying to think how to word this. Because I know what I want to say. It's just hard to get the words out sometimes. Because the thing is I kind of don't like doing YouTube traditionally. I think it is becoming creatively stifling, at least for me personally.
Well, yeah, this is where like some of the my opinions towards like the online content creation sphere at the moment. It, as you say, there's a lot of people that aren't exactly creative. In my opinion, it's not so much about the creativity and doing unique things anymore and doing interesting things. It's more a case of just, you know someone big and you're appearing in there, okay, let's just siphon some of that stuff off. And let's face it, that's how it's been for a long time. But now
that always helps, but that's not the only way.
No, but it seems to be one of the bigger things at the moment. It's a case of just larger groups of people that have already got a following, bringing their friends and other people that they work with in. And sometimes they might not even be doing interesting or unique stuff themselves. It's just because they've got this other influx of audience coming in from another person. That's how they grow.
I mean, that's something that I always talked about doing, though, was like bringing all of my friends with me on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. It's how things have always been. It's just a case of it's become very rampant, and then now that there's just a lot more people doing that kind of thing, it's just there's not much variety of anything going on. It's all the damn same at the moment.
I don't know. I'm actually going to disagree with you a little bit here.
All right.
Entirely because in the last 2 years, we have seen creators do some really just amazing things.
Okay, yeah, there's going to be like fringe stuff. I mean, like one of the big things I'm thinking of right now is Germa's Dollhouse.
Hell yeah, Germa's Dollhouse. But like a lot of the stuff that Germa does is exceedingly unique. A lot of the stuff that Wayne Radio does, exceedingly unique. The creative like innovators are always the fringe case. But
yeah,
that's why we got to give them the attention.
That's what I'm talking about. Like the large variety of I say variety. Ooh, poor choice of words. The large kind of main sphere of creative stuff at the moment. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just the way things have gone, and it's just the meta at the moment. You'll see like a large thing is streaming and then taking your stream content, turning it into videos and all that kind of stuff. And then you just see people following the trends on streams and all this kind of stuff. So you see a lot of you laugh, you lose, you laugh and the video ends, all this kind of stuff. That's a big mainstay at the moment. And yeah, depending on the person, it can be extremely fun. Like one of the people that I've been watching a lot of their videos of recently is Jimmy here, I think.
Sounds familiar, but I'm not familiar with their content.
Super funny guy. I've been really enjoying his stuff, but it's the same thing that so many other people do. That's the thing. Yeah. Do you remember the guy that goes, he's the guy that goes, "It's Wednesdays, my dude."
Oh, yeah.
It's just, for some reason, the algorithm on YouTube just picked him up, and he's just blown up over the last couple of months. It's incredible to see.
Good for him.
But that's what I mean. It's just like, you see all this kind of stuff. You'll see things like GTA 5 mods and stopping
the trade in GTA 5.
Stuff like that. Then you'll see like all this Minecraft stuff, but this happens. And I don't know, it's once something blows up, everyone else is so quick to just jump on that trend and try and catch that same lightning in a bottle.
I mean, yeah,
and because so many people are trying to do it at once, it just dilutes everything, and that's the issue, and there's no way around it, sadly.
I mean, that's kind of why I set up my ideas in a way that only I would be able to execute on them. But, like, this is the thing. Like, we kind of got off topic, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because expectations, I feel, are necessary for our day-to-day lives as creators, as individuals, as people. Because those expectations spur us further. They push us further. But if you set too many on yourself, it can start to cause self-image issues, which is that's when the expectations aren't what kills you. It's the self-image issues, because that's when the projects start to fall apart.
Oh, yeah. No. This is like my biggest pitfall.
Same. But so here's the thing. So I've gone through therapy, and I've talked at length with my therapist about this, because this is a topic that I've fallen prey to at least 6 times, if not more. But I also now have the insight as a producer, which is also helpful for other creatives because I can share some of this knowledge.
Yeah.
So let me paint the example. Let's go back to Minigame Monthly.
Okay.
So here's the thing with Minigame Monthly. At the very least, I would be responsible for 8 small games individually over the course of a year. And now each of these games had to consist of a visual component, an audio component, and then also the gameplay component. So that's already a bunch of stuff for just 1 month, repeated 8 times. There's some overlap where you can reuse assets, but that's already a shit ton of work. But then you got to get the meta features. You got to get a replay editor. Unreal has one built in. Okay, how do we use that? We got to structure the entire game around it. All right, fantastic. Now we need a spectator pawn for people operating the cameras. Shit, okay, how are we going to assign these? Well, we're going to have to do that through networking in a lobby system. Okay, how do we do that? So you work all the way back, and I had a task list about the size of a Rite Aid receipt. It was very lengthy. So the thing is realistically, I should have looked at that and gone, I can't do this by myself. I need to reach out for help, or I need to scale back the idea. The man I used to be would not allow this. I was very much a no compromises my way or the highway kind of guy. That's not how you live. So obviously I toiled for a bit. I got pretty far on that last one, I gotta say.
Yeah, you did.
Like, I had multiplayer working. That's already a massive thing for me. But like, it was always just once I got to the art assets, because I'm not the best character artist, I would start working on the player models for Z, for Condi, etc. And I would collapse because my self-image issues that I'd been building over the course of this project due to the expectations I set on myself to execute this idea properly would collapse in on themselves when faced with the reality of, I'm not artistically talented enough to pull this off. So eventually, I find everyone will hit that wall where the crushing reality of their situation hits. So here's how you deal with that wall, because I think this is the most important thing. Alex, how long did it take Jerma to go from concept to Dollhouse?
7 months, apparently.
7 months. And in that time, do you think he knew anything about like how to run a proper production like that? How to make sure all the gaffers were ready, how to make sure that there was staff running it all the time? Did you think he had the money immediately from concept phase?
I don't know the full process because I would have absolutely loved to be a part of it and or even be a fly on the wall in the process of it just to get an idea of how something like this works. But most likely they went from concept and then iteration upon iteration whilst hitting different problems and different roadblocks in the project. So God knows how many iterations of this idea they went through.
Yep, and that's the thing. When you are faced with the crushing reality of I might not be good enough for this, you've got two options. Pull back, lick your wounds, learn what you can, and try something else, or keep pushing it. Now, I kept pushing it. That wasn't the best idea on my end, but that might work for some people. I was trying to do way too much. Like, when it comes to being a creative, I'm just assuming that no one in the audience is a full-timer. Like, just straight up. Not a single person in the audience. So I think the best way I can think to put this is, when you hit that wall where you have to decide, do I walk away or do I keep pushing? You need to stop and take a high-level audit of everything that you have going on, both in the project and your life. So for me in college, during one of my minigame monthly sprints, to step back, I would have had to go, I've got 40 hours of classes a week. I got 20 hours of homework. I have to make sure that I get a video done daily. I got to get a Binding of Undertale done almost daily. I got to get a video done every day. I got to make sure I spend time with my girlfriend. I got to make sure I'm going to the gym. I got to make sure I'm taking care of this. So I had probably about 90 to 100 hours of work a week. And that was on top of trying to do minigame monthly.
Yep.
So realistically, if I had stepped back and gone, there's no way, I could have learned this lesson earlier and further iterations would have been better. Likewise, right now, I just did that exact same thing for myself. I looked like, okay, I got to spend time with my friends. I got to maintain my social relationships, bodybuilding, maintaining my art. I got 30 hours of job 1, 40 hours of job 2. So I looked at that and went, I can't do YouTube and make it creatively fulfilling. So instead I determined the videos I upload will just have to be events. I'll upload when I upload. My life isn't in the spot that it needs to be for this project right now. So having the ability to step back, look at yourself, and take a high-level audit, I think is probably one of the most key things in life because it lets you be adaptable and it lets you maintain everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you keep pushing against a wall that's not going to be really moving, you're only going to be damaging yourself. And you can only do what you're able and capable to do. I mean, yeah, let's face it. Once you hit a roadblock, once you hit a problem, and you can identify what it is, if you take this a couple of steps back to, examine and study it, instead of, and then make a plan of attack to learn how to get through this problem, learn any skills, or maybe reach out for someone else that can help break down this wall with you, then yeah, you can continue working forward. But if you just keep pushing forward and forward and forward and being like, I can do this by myself, I can just keep going, not really taking any steps to make it easier or learn what you need to learn to be able to do this, you're just going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. Like, for example, for me, one of my weak points is programming. But I found a way to shore that up because I have a friend who is good at programming, and she's more than willing to lend me a hand every now and again. But I reached out for help, and my programming has gotten better because of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I think I'm gonna kind of take a weird pivot here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We kind of covered, keep your expectations of yourself realistic. Don't think that you can kill God. Make sure you don't harm your self-image in the creative process. I want to switch to the natural extreme of this. Properly planning your project for, not killing yourself working on it. Because I think this is something...
Wait. How is this the natural extreme when it should be... I
should have said the natural endpoint.
Yeah, I was going to say, because planning your project is what you should be doing in the first place.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We're going to be taking a little bit from my limited experience as a producer. I've only been one for like 3 months. But we're also going to be taking a little bit from my experience as a failure, which, again, failure, kind of sexy. Hit me up, I'm single. But so here's the thing. When you start a project, you have to take that high-level audit immediately, I would say. You have to know what you can give for this, be it in capital, so money, man-hours, etc., and what you can give it in terms of resources. So that might be like, buying asset packs if you're doing something like I was doing, and figuring out like where you can start. Because here's the thing. I still want to do Minigame Monthly, and if any of you do it, I'm coming to your house and beating you to death with a fish. Just warning for everyone. But the thing is I still want to do that. But realistically, as I am now with my work situation, I cannot. Like, I would love to give my weekend wholeheartedly to this project, but as you know, that's not possible for either of us to do for either of our creative projects.
Yeah.
So what I have to do is I have to realize I want to tell stories through the medium of games on YouTube. So that's already 3 levels of obfuscation. That's 3 levels of obfuscation already. Obfuscation. 3-wall barrier medium gobur. But so that was pain. But so the thing is what I have to do is I have to go, how can I tell a narrative through the medium of a game and through the medium of a let's play, and what's that going to look like? Because doing it as a one-man pony show, I feel personally would not be the most interesting. Like Half-Life, but the AI is self-aware would not be nearly as interesting if it was just Gordon Freeman shouting at NPCs who don't react. Like that would just be boring.
Yeah.
So like, how can I take a similar concept and make it something achievable in scale for myself? Because for those of you who don't know, Half-Life, but the AI is self-aware wasn't just 4 people. That was a full stage production with stagehands. Like, they did a lot of really cool work, honestly. But the thing is that was achievable for them because they had a team. I'm one man. I don't have a team, so I need to keep that in mind. So let's say I want to make a game to tell a story. Well, first of all, doing everything in 3D, that might be a bit much for me because one man. So the wiser option would be to do something like SRB2 does, where it's 2D sprites on a 3D world. That might immediately be more achievable.
Yep.
So that's already like, you have your penultimate vision, and then you have to start cutting it back to be realistic within the confines. Because once you know your confines, based off of that audit you did earlier, you can break everything down to fit it inside of the little suitcase of what is actually possible. So now we've killed the idea a little bit. Fantastic. We have something that is more achievable artistically. But mechanically, now we have to think of something else. We have to, we obviously can't do one thing a month. That's just not going to happen. So what about a more guided experience with 2 people? Immediately, this adds networking. That's going to take a lot of time. So we have to understand that and add that and, keep track of it. So what you then start doing is you take all of these tasks that are, you need them for the end, and you kind of guesstimate how much they're going to take you. So networking, last time I did it, took me 2 months. I'm better at programming now, but I haven't done much networking. So I think I can safely assume it's going to take me probably 1.5 to 2 months. So I'm going to put 2 months to be safe. And that's how long that's going to take me, and that's how long I'm going to want it to take me. It might take me longer, it might take me less time. But it's important that I track it, because if I track it, then I can better estimate more tasks in the future. So as the entire progress keeps going, my predictions of when I can do something will get cleaner and cleaner. So I might be a couple of weeks off with the networking, but by the time that we're polishing stuff up and adding like a camera mode, I've got a much better grasp of how long something like that will take me. So track your time and set a timeline that you think is realistic, and then multiply that by 1.5 to give yourself some breathing room. creativity waits for no man, but man, can you wait for creativity? You can give it some time if you need to. But like once you get that, you can basically make a timeline and then start breaking stuff down into smaller, more digestible tasks, which you can then spread out along a Gantt chart, which is just a long running chart of different tasks stacked on high with how long they're going to take. And you can set sprints and work in chunks to get small, realistic and feasible stuff done. Like once you have the audit, you can really do a lot once you know the constraints of your creativity.
Being able to break down a project, it comes down to being able to break it apart into its fundamental pieces. For a large project, if you're wanting to like take on any large project, a big thing to remember is it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. So you got to make sure, is this project something you want to dedicate yourself to?
Yeah.
There's also a good thing to learn is it's the same kind of skills as learning stuff from like business management. There's project management, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm actually taking a project management course right now, specifically for my personal projects.
That's also partially what I'm going back to university for in next month. I'm going into doing business management and getting a bachelor's degree in it alongside accounting.
No, I just realized you're getting a business management degree. I'm learning project management. We're going to be like an actual terror when we're done.
No, yeah, dude, I'm going into business management and accounting alongside like, you know, my AV tech and film skills. Dude, I'm a one-man show. I can do a lot. But no, like having these like these project management skills and being able to break things down into like the financial, the time scale, what areas is this going to go in? Do we have people for these teams? How much can they take on? Oh, that's a bit too much in one side of things. Okay, we got to bring that back. Or we extend the time it takes for the entire project so things can tie in. All these different things. If the more time you spend developing the project plan, the easier it is going to be for you to go further along.
Yeah.
The more planning means less chance. Well, not less chance. More planning basically means you're more prepared for everything along the road.
Yeah. So like this is a big thing that I kind of want to stress is you can overplan, but you cannot plan enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you get into the stage where, if you get into the mindset of, I want to plan everything. Oh, this could go wrong. Let me make a contingency plan for this. Oh, but in this contingency, you can get, there is a thing as planning too much to the point where it just paralyzes the entire project.
Yes, and I've had that happen as well.
Well, that's exactly what we did with this podcast. In the past, we've tried to do multiple projects together, and we've tried to do large things like Minigame Monthly is a good example. There's been other things as well. Yeah, but it's a case of we made very sure to just not overplan this.
Yeah, I think we both literally went, fuck it, let's just go and see what happens.
Yeah, it was literally a case of we started to plan it, then we went, let's not fall into this pitfall again.
Yeah, I'm really proud of us that we both kind of like realized what was happening there.
Yeah, it's just a case of we've learned our past mistakes, especially with that, and we've just gone and did the bare minimum. I wouldn't say the bare minimum. Actually, that's a bad phrase. That's not the good thing. We did enough to be able to launch everything. We set up all the different platforms. We did all the branding. We gave a rough format for the show. And then after that, we went, that's enough. Let's see where it goes from here.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Another really big thing for containing scope is the minimum viable product. What is the smallest thing you can put out that you'll be happy with?
Yeah.
So for me, Minigame Monthly had no compromise like that. That's an issue. But for a lot of projects, their MVP is what they end up shipping. Like, the thing is, you know, I talked a lot about organization and Alex talked a lot about, like, planning, but let me give you guys a couple of fun tips. So for me personally, I like to have a full-on design document which contains all of the moving parts, and then I like to convert that into a ClickUp board. We're not sponsored by ClickUp. There's plenty of alternatives. Monday.com's a good one. Trello's a good one. There are plenty of alternatives.
I've started using Notion recently, which is a free version, which it's extremely powerful and it's really good.
Yeah. Notion is godly. But so the thing is, though, is I use ClickUp, and what I do is I break everything down into tasks, break that into sprints. And here's the thing. If I'm unsure about something, wanna know what I do? I take out my whiteboard and I write down the end goal and then start branching that off in like a mind map to get the individual pieces to figure out what needs to go where, what needs to go first, what comes after, what comes after, what comes after.
You know what I've been looking for? Back in
What?
college, so like a long time ago, back in college, there was a program that we were given, and I cannot remember the name of it. And I've been looking for it ever since. And it's essentially a mind mapping software where you just put something down and then you add different branches, but as you add it, you can like you just add the different things and it makes the branches and it expands everything out. So you can just build this ever building like mind map. So you can just plan things out in a very organic method. And I need it.
Yeah, I couldn't find a good mind map program that was both functional and free. And ClickUps is kind of shit, not gonna lie. So like that's why I use a whiteboard instead.
Yeah, it's just I've got my giant whiteboard next to me at the moment, and it's a case of I'll start off and then I'll branch off, but then I'll branch off. Then I realize I don't have enough space and I'm gonna have to redraw everything. And screw it, it's not worth the effort. I just give up. So many things have just stopped like that.
Well, you see, that's why what I do is when my whiteboard fills up, I just put what's on it onto my like tracking software, and then I just erase it and pick one of the branches to go down, and then I just do that for the remaining branches. But that's the thing. Like, ideally, at the start of production, you want a pretty decently detailed map to get from pre-production to post in as little time as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's speaking in a professional sense, because obviously when you're like, Germatier, or you're like me and you're in a game company, there has to be a budget. You're paying people. Like you can't just work on something forever. But if you're independent, you're not paying yourself, you obviously should respect your time, but you can take as much time as you want. You got time. Make your perfect product. Just make sure you release it. Like, I feel being able to say good enough is probably the most important skill in any creative medium. But if you want to, toil your life away on a project that won't really see completion, but you're happy with the end result, like, do it. Fucking do it. But, being able to say good enough and having that map is an extreme boon. Like, I have the next 6 or 7 months of me programming the slime game. I've got that already written down because I need to. And that way, if I finish something early, I can move on to the next part. I can move on to the next part. I can move on to the next part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the other thing. You want to know, like, the 2 greatest tools I think we have in the modern era for tracking projects?
Whiteboards and pen and paper. Oh, that's 3. Shit.
I mean, I would count those as 1. But, I mean, you can't write on a whiteboard without having a marker. So that'd be 4. But no, Kanban boards and Gantt charts. I think these are probably the 2 most powerful tools we have in our arsenal. Because, like, a Kanban board is like Trello. It allows you to basically say, this is in progress, this is yet to be started, this is in review, this is done. It lets you keep, track of where everything is and what you need to be focusing on, and you can set priorities. And then the Gantt chart lets you know how long each of those cards should take, which helps you really estimate how everything's going. And if you did a good audit on step 1, you'll know when those man hours are going to be able to be put in, which is the biggest thing. Like, I think probably the most important thing for anyone, though, is just consistency.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, we're talking about this on a personal scale and personal projects and whatnot.
I mean, I'm talking slight enterprise, but yeah, mostly personal.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Because these things we're talking about, they scale up to large projects. And this seems to be like a big issue with large game development studios as well, where it comes into things aren't planned out at the beginning well enough. And that's why crunch time comes into things.
There's a lot more that goes into crunch. Like, it is a failure of management a lot of the time. I can't really speak too much about it because I'm so new, and I don't know enough about the internals yet. And I mean, I'm obviously
the general view of it from someone that's on the outside, this is just me giving an opinion and an educated guess from what I know and everything like this, is that crunch normally comes down to poor time management from the management in the planning stage. Because things can get extended, more things added, but it still needs to be scheduled. It needs to be given the resources, the manpower, and the big issue, the money to go into it.
Yeah, well, like, this is kind of the issue with, like, major AAA, I would say. And it's not every major AAA studio. We can obviously name a couple, but as I'm in the industry, I must hold my tongue somewhat. But a lot of the time, when it comes down crunch, there can be any number of things that happen. It could be, like you said, failure during the planning phase. And the planning phase is arguably one of the most important parts of this entire thing. But there can also be an issue where you're managing a project and the stakeholders might show up and demand extra features. And when you say that'll, need more time, they disagree and do not compromise.
Yeah.
Or it can be another thing of marketing wants X, Y, and Z inside of the product and you don't have the space to accommodate that, but you need to. Or it can be another thing. Maybe you just had a string of unfortunate absences. Maybe a global pandemic hit. Like, at that point, you can't do much about it.
Yeah, that's what, as sucky as it sounds, I would still put that down to issues with management. Mainly for the fact that all these things may not be their fault, but it's a case of it is still partly their job, if not entirely their job, to take these new issues in, fight for their team if it's stakeholders being unreasonable, all this kind of stuff. But it's still their job to reschedule and make things work as best as possible.
This is the issue I'm trying to get across. A project manager cannot manifest extra resources commonly without the stakeholder. And if the stakeholder is unwilling, the project manager can only do their best and nothing more. And that doesn't always pan out okay. Like, for example, if say one of my projects suddenly had like a massive scope increase due to factors outside of our control, or like we had a lot of people out. Like let's just say the production schedule is behind dramatically for whatever reason. Let's assume nobody's fault. If I can't get more money, that's just game. And the money would have to come from the stakeholders who hired me to work on the project in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Project managers, we can do a lot. We can do a lot. Producers can do a lot. The individual creators and creatives can do a lot. But the second money gets involved, your production schedule changes to be rigid because it cannot be elastic. Because time you can spend however you want, especially as an individual. You can spend time however you want. But if I have a budget of 500 to $1 million and I have a bunch of engineers, I got a bunch of artists, like if I'm hiring gaffers, riggers, etc., these people all need to be paid. And when the money runs dry, that's project failure, which then results in a complete net loss. So the two options that most people end up getting are the project dies, the team is fired, or the human capital gets abused. I'm very happy to work for a company that does not believe in allowing that to happen and will force people to stop working and like take vacations and use their time and everything. It's very good that I work in an anti-crunch company. But when it comes to project management, you get very little elasticity once money is involved because there's only so much. There's only so many of any resource. There's only so much time. There is only so much human. There's only so much like manpower. There's only so many man hours. There's only so much money. So as creatives, as individual creators, you and I, we still spend resources to get our projects made. We're spending time, and time is money, but our time is limited, which is why we have the phrase, we are spending our time. But like in, a higher level, at like the enterprise level, it's just more inflexible. I can spend a year on Minigame Monthly. What the fuck do I care? I was going to live that year anyway. But when it comes to like a production cycle in a professional setting, I can't just say, oh, we need an extra year, it's whatever, because that extra year could cost millions of dollars.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, like I'm not defending Crunch. Crunch sucks ass. But like, I don't want to just like saddle the blame on poor management because it's not always like a project manager, if they planned good, they can definitely help alleviate it. But it's not the end all be all.
This is the thing. I'm not, when I said that, I didn't mean project management entirely, because there's still people above project management. There's still people above that. There's the company holders and all that kind of stuff. They're still managing projects as well. There's people above that, and they should know how things work and all that kind of stuff. Product managements, they're not the highest in the totem pole.
Yeah,
they still
by any means.
Yeah, shit rolls downhill and all that kind of stuff. So when I just, as someone that does not know much about the industry and I'm just trying to make educated guesses, my education on that topic, not the best. So I'm glad I'm learning this kind of stuff from you.
Yeah, like I'm very anti-crunch. I don't think you'll meet a single game developer who isn't. It's just a lot of the time crunch comes about because, just a lot of factors. Like I can't say too much because again, that's really bad to do. But like I think that there's only so much that project management can do. But that's the thing. That's why I wanted to, help people who are individual creatives plan their own projects a bit more. Because it can be really tempting to crunch. I'm going to be completely real with you. It is exceedingly tempting to do it on a personal level. As you've seen multiple times by me crunching myself, I sometimes have fun with it. Not all the time, but I sometimes genuinely enjoy the hell out of it. That's why I do game jams.
Yeah, I was going to say, game jams are essentially just crunch.
Yeah, but like on a personal level, that's okay because that's how I'm choosing to spend my hobby time.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, dude. I was watching anime, and one of the ones I was watching was a critique of like Japanese work culture. And I was like, did he just complain about having to work a normal day on Sunday and not just Saturday? Do these people only get one day? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which show was it? Which show was it?
I'm not saying.
Is it? I think I know which one it is.
I tried to watch Senko, but it was too uncomfortable. I just wanted some good fluff.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's why I made that comment at the start, because I was like, why do all the cool slice of life concepts have to come with the big old pedophilia flag? Like, I don't like it. She could have just been a normal looking girl with fox appendages. Like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that.
And here we are back to this weird energy and topic. So I think we're going to cleanse the palate just now, and we're going to go to the mid-roll. We'll come back.
Why does Dragon Maid have the Kana sections in it?
Okay, we'll see you back in a couple of minutes. It's that time again, that little break from the intelligent, incoherent rambling from us two fools where we can take a small break and just cleanse our palates. Let's take this chance to remind you to interact with the show on whichever platform you're on, be it liking, commenting, rating, or doing a little dance, as it all helps the show out immensely. We don't do any form of advertising, so by you helping it out wherever you watch it, helps the show grow and by extension, make all of us that bit closer to being a better version of ourselves. What does that mean? Who knows? I want to take a moment to thank our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/podcast tangents and our top tier patrons, Alikar Safiro and Audrey Resendez. I swear to God, I hope I'm saying those right. Let me know if I'm not. If you'd like to get extra exclusive episodes, bloopers and outtakes, participate in Q&A sessions, join in the Patreon Discord server and have your name immortalized in the show, then head on over to patreon.com/podcast tangents. Our current goal is to be able to hire an editor to ensure high quality and consistent, maybe more, who knows, episodes. Other than that, we do have some extra things in the works for some milestones coming up for the show, which we both think you most likely will enjoy, so keep an eye out for those. I'm kind of excited for them. But anyway, let's just jump back on in and continue listening to these two glorious buggers. Oh, wait, that's us! Alrighty, and welcome back. Kind of cleansed the palate from that last topic, so let's move on into the second talking point, which kind of ties in quite closely to what we were talking about already. Hey, Cam.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because we just went on an entire 45-minute section of controlling scope, and we're about to just completely disregard our own advice.
Okay, look, the first half was us being like, this is what we've learned. This is what we're going to be doing from now on. But the second half is going to be talking about our big dreams. This is if no bars limits, all that kind of stuff. It's shoot for the sky. And this is what the second half is.
Yeah.
So
I get you.
So we're going to be talking about our ideals and wants towards a creative career online. Basically, our big goals and dreams for what we want to do with our careers. So things might get a little bit large in a sense.
Okay. Do you want to go first or you want me to go first? Because I'm the king of overscoping.
Okay, well, I mean, just to give again, just kind of like pull the curtain back. We did the Patreon exclusive episode earlier on today, so this is like the second podcast we've done in the day. So I
have existed in darkness because I have to close my blackout curtains to try and stop the road noise from interfering with the podcast. I haven't seen the sun all day.
Trust me, it's not that good. So what we kind of touched on it in that. So you know roughly what I'm going to say, but there is another area of that I did not mention in the episode. So you know, and if you're going down the same route that I was talking around, it's kind of, our two ideas are similar in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. You and I have been like, we've known each other for years, and we've talked about this a lot. So it kind of makes sense that some osmosis would happen.
Okay, right. I think I'm gonna go first for this one.
All right.
You spoke enough in the first half. I'm taking the reins now, baby.
It doesn't matter who it says hosts the podcast. I will always control 45 minutes.
So I have two big main goals for like big dream projects and whatnot to work towards. The first one is the smaller of the two. What I want to do is essentially create a long narrative, story-driven content of some sort. Of what type, I do not know, but the best medium that I have for it at the moment is essentially just D&D. Because it's an entire system, it's an entire game that people are now very familiar with, and it is the perfect vehicle for storytelling, because that's what the game is. It is collaborative storytelling.
Which is cool.
Yeah. And one of the big things that I want to work towards is I want to create stories that people resonate, enjoy, and get enjoyment out of. That's my big goal. And D&D just happens to be one of the big things that can do that relatively well at this point. I would love to eventually turn it into, try and like switch it towards having graphics, images, and all that kind of stuff to go with it. So it's not just a podcast on its own. I would love to expand it, but hey, remember that thing we were talking about Project Scope?
Yeah.
I'm just one man. I can't do that. Like Corridor Digital, they're doing something very interesting at the moment.
Why aren't they?
That's very true. They've done something which is like, holy shit, that's incredible. I wish I could have been a part of that. Where they basically did a short campaign for D&D. And they broke up into a bunch of episodes. I think it's like 8 or 10 episodes, maybe less. And they did all the filming of it. They did the table recording of it all. And then what they've gone and done is they've taken out the important parts that they've done. And they've scripted it out and turned it into a video production. So they filmed these important sections in character, in costume, all this kind of stuff. But what they've gone and done is they've recreated the scenarios. They used, I think it's Dwarven Forge? I think it's Dwarven Forge, but that they make all like these miniature kind of tabletop miniature like
Hero Forge.
Landscapes. No, not the characters. It's for like making like towns and using like the scenery and stuff to make really nice looking tables. They went into that, they 3D mapped it, and then they recreated it in Unreal Engine 5.
Ooh.
And now they're using VR technology and motion capture and all this kind of stuff to basically do the same thing they're doing on The Mandalorian, which is essentially, you know how The Mandalorian's filmed?
Oh man, they're doing the stuff that I wanted to do.
Right! It's so good! If you don't know how it's done, if you don't know how it's done, what they basically have is it's using Unreal Engine. They create the scene around them. They create the environment. And then they have this giant, massive TV behind them that's curved and everything. So it's on a soundstage. And then they have a camera which is connected to Unreal Engine. It's essentially, I don't know how it actually is done.
It's called a virtual camera.
Yeah, it's virtual camera. They use like a controller from a VR headset or whatever it is they use. And this relates into Unreal Engine and it combines the two things together. So you see the actor on the stage, and as you move the camera, it moves the camera in Unreal Engine, which projects onto the screen. So as you move it around, you're basically just moving around a 3D space in real life, and you see everything perfectly.
Okay, good. They're not doing fully what I thought they were doing. Hell yeah.
No.
I still have a niche.
So that's how they do it on Mandalorian. So a lot of scenes that you see in The Mandalorian, you see the quality that is. That's how good it is.
That's Unreal Engine. That's what really screws me up.
But what they're doing something similar to that, but they've basically mapped out these D&D tabletop landscapes they've gone through. So they're recreating these important scenes in the maps that they've made on the table that they played in. It's so cool.
Which is just sick.
It's so cool. I love that idea. But they have a big team. They have all this equipment. They've got all this experience. It's a big project. Well, that's the thing. I'm a massive Corridor Digital fan. I love the stuff they do. I love how they're always pushing stuff. I love how they're always exploring and experimenting with technology and all this kind of stuff. And they always do it really well. That's what annoys me.
Well, I mean, they're all extremely passionate and driven dudes. That kind of checks out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's Ren that made me really want to get a one wheel and start doing that kind of stuff because it just looks fun. It just looks fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing that kind of stuff, I would love to tell stories in that kind of format and just make it larger and just tell stories in this kind of format that people resonate with and enjoy. That's one of my big goals, and I'm working towards it. The long shot, shooting for the moon. I want to buy a warehouse, and I want to make a gaming store. I just want to make a gaming store. You can go in. There's going to be a bunch of tables for like playing card games, playing tabletop games, like war games and all that kind of stuff. Warhammer? Yeah. You want to play D&D? Yeah. Are we going to make rooms dedicated and like built up to look like a tavern or maybe like in a dungeon or something for roleplay? Yeah. We're going to add smoke machines? Maybe. I don't know. It sounds a bit like a safety hazard, but we'll see. But typical kind of stuff, dream geek shit. But have booths at the back for VR stuff, have like computers, all this kind of stuff. The idea is above every single table, there is a rig dedicated and designed for streaming. Every VR booths, there's going to be streaming booths at the back, soundproofed, air conditioned, all this kind of stuff. Dream shit! So any content creators can just come in and they can just set up, they can just go. You don't even need to be a content creator. You can just come in and enjoy yourself. Green screen room? Yeah, if you want to do some live filming stuff. Infinity Wall? Photography people, come on in. Why not? And the thing is, end of the day, everybody goes home. That's when I can go into my own content creation stuff. I have all of this set up. All the people that I work with, come on over. It's time we have fun and do our own stuff. I want to just indulge in all my hobbies.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You want to run a game shop. Okay?
Yes.
Hear me out.
Yep.
You want to run a game shop for content creators, and then you want to add extra work hours to your day to do your own stuff after, even though you clearly have the money to do your own stuff full time and can have someone else manage the shop.
Yes.
All right, understandable. It's not only my kind of like work schedule, but you're not me.
No, hear me out. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I shouldn't do it. I'm not saying that I want to be running the store like in person all the damn time. I'm saying that I still love the environment. I remember going as a kid to Games Workshop, and it was on the way down to a town down south in the UK, and we went to the Games Workshop Games Day, which is a large convention. And they show off a bunch of stuff. I was just getting into it. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I loved the atmosphere of just people with all just a passion for this hobby, all coming together and enjoying themselves and just having fun in all these different ways. I've been to maybe one game store where like it was in the middle of Edinburgh and it wasn't very big. Upstairs, they have like a bunch of PCs that people were playing like League of Legends on. But downstairs, there was like a couple of rooms with large tables and all the walls were filled with bookcases. And every single one of them, there was just a tabletop war game army. There were just board games for days. There were so many books for different games. And you could just pay about a tenner and spend a day in there and do whatever you wanted. And upstairs, there was a cafe for refreshments. It was amazing, and I loved it. I want to recreate that. If I have the option to be able to do that kind of stuff and share this with other people that may not have this environment, I want it for myself and to be able to share it with others.
Yeah.
But if I enjoy creating things at the same time, so why not combine the two? I'm not saying it's designed specifically for content creators. No. It's options for people that do that as well, because I'm going to be using it anyway. So why not?
Yeah, no, like it does sound nice though, because it's kind of like in the same vein as my penultimate goal, but mine's a little bit weird.
Go.
Okay, so here's the thing. I want to build my main channel up significantly. Here's the thing. I don't think I've talked about the 5-year and 10-year plan yet. So let me goblin squat in my chair. Let's get talking about this. So here's the thing. In my mind, creativity is earned. It's not given, and expressing it is not, it's not a right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you have to fight to properly be able to express yourself. And I mean this in all aspects of life. Like, I just got out of a phase where I actually just wasn't feeling much at all. Now I'm feeling everything again. Kind of overwhelming. But it's like, I made a plan to allow expressing myself creatively to be a right. So here's the thing. My plan right now is I want to build up my main channel. Why do I want to build up my main channel? I want to hire an editor. Hire an editor for what channel? A second channel. Because here's the thing. I want to diversify my revenue streams and maximize my brand reach. But why? Because it brings in more money. What am I going to spend that money on? We'll get to that. But listen to this. The concept is to make a small network of channels that I can get people into an effective positive feedback loop in. The same way Linus Media Group does. Because you watched an LTT video, you get the short circuit. From short circuit, you get the tech link. From tech link, you get back to LTT. Like, they have a constant content circle that just drags people back into the Linus Media Group umbrella.
Yeah.
So the intent is to set up something like that on a smaller scale, just enough to hire a couple of editors to free myself from the burden of editing. From there, we start to bankroll that money, maybe some smart investments, hire a bookie, hire somebody who can do, business management, because the last thing I want is for my dream to die on the table because I have to manage all of these businesses. So instead, I pay someone else to do that for me, and thus the cycle continues. So the idea is within 5 years, my YouTube channels produce enough that I can start to invest it elsewhere. So from there, what I want to do is I want to take it to the point where I now have a game studio. That game studio, we're going to make games. We're going to sell them, but I can also hire a small team to work with me to make stuff like Minigame Monthly.
Yeah.
Ambitious projects that need a team, but not a big team, just a small one, a responsibly scoped team. And from there, now we're pumping out some really insane content and we're selling products on the side. So now we have the YouTube income, the game development income, and we're making the videos that I've always dreamed of. But we're not done. We're not done yet. From there, the obvious choice is expansion. By the end of this, I want to have a makerspace in the Northeast that doesn't rely on you being inside a major city. It needs to be easily accessible from Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire, obviously. It needs to be accessible from everywhere. The issue is that accessibility. I've got a couple of locations in mind that I know are going to be for sale within the next 10 years. But obviously I'm not going to be there yet. But it's like, if I can build up this first channel, if I can build up Lumo Blaze by doing some insane stuff right now, I can secure future funding for projects. Because ideally what I want to do is I want to have my own game studio in the area.
Yeah.
And from there, I want to make the makerspace as complement. And the ideal is I want to have like an arcade bar on the front of my development offices.
Yes.
Because I think it would be really cool to have a space where my developers can unwind throughout the day. I think it would be sick as hell to have like game and mechanical prototypes up on arcade cabinets that people can play test and leave some feedback with. I think it would be really, really cool for like, have networking events inside a game dev studio that is also a bar.
Hold on. So what you could essentially be doing is you're treating the customers as the Q&A.
Correct.
The quality assurance.
Obviously, I'd still need professional QA specialists, but if I play my cards right, that's not an issue for me. Like, a lot of this plan relies on other things in the area, which is not the best, but I think it's important because I would love to see New England become more of a game development hub. Because there's a lot of talent up here. It's just, it's when you have to have moving costs alongside the hiring fees, that's expensive. Mm-hmm. So being able to cut that out and just like, hey, there's a lot of game companies in the area because a couple of them struck it big, and that'd be fantastic. But the dream goal is basically to have my YouTube studio and makerspace, because I would love to roll up to my office, check on the game dev stuff, do whatever CEO work I need to do, do a little bit of project management, make sure that the game company's on the right path, check out what the team's been doing, make sure my employees are okay. all right, it's lunchtime. We're pivoting. I'm going to go and work on the YouTube stuff now. I'm going to work on my content. I'm going to be the personality that I know I am. And from there, that's going to crank out some videos. Then I can go home, see my wife, see my kid, you know, have a life outside of YouTube, have a life outside of my work. The intent is not to turn YouTube to a 9 to 5, but to engage in both of my passions for half a day each. And the second I leave work, it's all dead to me. I'm so sick of work consuming my life that the dream is literally to like get to the point where I'm effectively working 2 half days.
Oh my God, that is the dream. That's the dream.
Well, it's like, that's why my main goal right now is to just get comfortable. Because I can't do any of this if I'm working like 70 to 80 hours a week. Like,
yeah, true.
Which is screwed up because I have 2 part-time jobs. So realistically, they should really only be going up to 60. But it's like that's the thing. Is like, once I can, reclaim my weekends, then I can get started on this and I can help, a couple of other people achieve their goals as well. It's just a matter of getting my weekends back. Like, man, my friends have been watching the Fast and the Furious movies on the weekend. I finally got to watch one with them. It was a riot. They're convinced that Vin Diesel is is that Vin Diesel? Whoever plays Dom.
I have no clue. I've not watched any of them.
Yeah, basically they joke that he's an automancer and he just controls cars with his mind because he does a bunch of really stupid shit with the car. It's so good. Like, at one point, he literally harpoons a car and then, like, spins it around like it's a Bowser fight from Mario 64.
What?
And then another time, he activates his car's NOS to get a heat-seeking missile to follow him to ramp over some ice and lead the missile into a submarine.
What the hell are these films?
They are meth-riddled. It is amazing. They are not good, and in such a way, they become amazing.
Oh my God.
It's so stupid. It's so dumb. All of them are apparently as stupid. And, like, the thing is, like, The Rock is in them, and at one point he was just, like, doing bicep curls with a concrete bench he ripped off the wall.
As he does, just as he does.
It's so stupid. Like, it's so genuinely idiotic. Like, that's the thing, is I would love to have my weekends back because I had my month-long catharsis. I am reset to, I'm a Northman restored. I'm back to being me. But I can still feel the burnout. When people talk to me about work, I feel my eyes sink a little bit further into the back of my skull. Like, this is a situation that I need to resolve. And I'm taking the steps to resolve it, thankfully. But, like, it's just like, it's a lot of work just to get comfortable. And then we have to put in more work to get our dreams. Which I'm happy to put the work in, but God, when there's no light at the end of the tunnel, it is a rough one.
Yeah, if, again, bringing it back down to what we were talking about, if you keep working towards something without a proper plan, you're essentially just endlessly walking into the void, just hoping to find something. If you have planned something out and you kind of know what you're working towards, then you have a path through the void. Something that you can start to work towards and you know where you're roughly heading. Because let's face it, if you go into something blind, let's just use the same example as YouTube. If you don't plan things out, if you don't know roughly what you're doing and hoping that luck is on your side and you'll blow up, fantastic. You've relied on luck and it's still got you to the point, but you've basically just stumbled through the void and hoped for the best. You haven't optimized yourself. You haven't optimized ways.
I find that a plan always ends up resulting in better results than luck.
Yeah, because a plan is essentially just optimizing yourself to be able to succeed.
Yeah.
Well, a good plan is anyway.
Yeah, a good plan. One thing that my boss told me, actually, because I was very upfront with him about how much I've been kind of struggling recently. And we were talking about projects and everything, and he gave me probably, I think, the best advice I've ever gotten from someone I work with, which was just getting the big win is uncommon, but getting a bunch of small wins makes it so much easier to survive between the bigs.
Yeah.
And, by extension, getting a bunch of small wins puts you in a better position to get that big win.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I advocate so heavily for really breaking up your tasks, because even if it spins your wheels a little bit. If you're still getting some stuff done, mentally, you're going to be in a way better place. Like, if you're still moving some things across the, the Kanban board, if you're still making a little bit of progress, doing that extra lift at the gym or, like running for an extra minute, taking that walk, that little bit extra puts you just a little bit more ahead. And, once you get these little wins on yourself, that helps your mentality. Like, I take cold showers. They suck. But I took a cold shower today. I know, if that's not the most, like, Cam shit you've heard today.
God, well, speaking of that, I need to go take a shower right now. It's been so damn warm after we've been doing just...
I thought you were about to say it's been so damn long, and I was about to be like, when was the last time you showered, Alex?
It's been so damn warm today. It's been like 24 degrees Celsius out, and I've had my window shut so my neighbors don't hear me talking bullshit with you, okay? And I can't have my fan on because that's a loud little bugger. So I am sweating. I need a shower.
Yeah, dude, I cannot. I'm actually kind of looking forward to like winter so I can have the window open while we do this. Oh, man. Oh, wait, no, I can't because the road is right there. Oh, my clever plans laid low. I'm actually really looking forward to living in an apartment through fall and winter.
Man, I would love to. I so desperately need to get out of where I am at the moment. But the thing is, where I'm staying, because I'm with my parents, because of unfortunate circumstances, I can save a lot more money, which means I can save up for the larger things. But if I want to move out and get my own independence again and all this kind of stuff, I'm going to be losing a lot of that money.
Yeah, no, like, honestly, I'm so grateful that my parents let me live rent-free at their house for so long. Like, I felt terrible for it. But because of that, I have a year's salary saved up in case something goes wrong. I've had the rug pulled out so much from under me that I started, like, without even thinking, I started nesting away, like, just massive wads.
Yeah. I need to get better at the financial side of things with myself and set myself budgets and shit like that. I still need to get that sorted.
I mean, I did give you my rough budget template, yeah? I feel like I did.
Yeah, I need to... It doesn't really work too well for me. I need to fix up my own one.
Yeah.
I need to adjust it up, but...
I mean, I would say use mine as, like, a light guide, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly... Right, okay. This is... Tangent. My college, the university I'm going back to, right? It's online. It's not in person, sadly. I don't like that, but it's what it is. So I'm doing business management now with a focus on accounting. So the first semester, the first course, is going to be business management, and it's got a bunch of shit of that in there. There's two optional courses. There's two other courses that I got to do that I have to choose. Now, the way this works is I can take up to 16 years to finish this degree. 16 years. Now, the way it works is that each like level of it, each kind of separate year of it is broken up into a certain amount of credits that I need to hit. Now, the thing is, each of these courses only run once or twice a year. I had to have the choice of I've got to do this first business management fundamental one, and I have got to get that done. But there's another one which is like personal finance and self-budgeting, and the other one is just accounting fundamentals. And I wanted to do both of those, but if I did, that would put the regular amount of studying I would need to do each week up to 50 hours.
Yikes.
Yeah, so the two parts that I so desperately want to learn, I had to back away from, and I have to wait until next year.
That's butt sauce.
It is. But hey, at least I'm learning about business management until then.
Yeah, so it's not like wasted time.
No. But when I'm coming like up to my finals, like my final exams for this for the business management side, I'm going to be starting up the financial side as well. So I'm going to be up to the 50 hours for about 2 months. So next year, this time next year, you're going to be seeing me as an absolute fucking wreck.
Can't wait. I mean, I feel like we have to trade who's a wreck, because if we're both a wreck, then nothing gets done. And if neither of us are a wreck, then, like, who's gonna be the funny one in the episode?
My dude, I was a wreck for the first half of this year. Don't you take that with me. It was about time you had it.
But yeah, like, oh god, I had something to say and I completely lost it. Oh.
Well, I have something to say if you want.
Sure.
I think that's all the time for this episode.
Oh.
If you can't remember what it is.
My brain is playing static.
Okay, so I think we've burnt ourselves out for today. So, hey, if you like the episode, consider sharing it with a friend, because we don't do any kind of marketing. We only rely on word of mouth at the moment. So if you could share with a friend, if anybody you think might be interested in the podcast, or if what we speak about might resonate with yourself or anyone, sharing it is greatly appreciated. Depending on which platform you're on, please remember to rate, leave a comment. I don't know. Help us get better in the algorithms.
Engage with the episode in any way that the platform allows.
Yeah, can you tell I'm not used to doing this bit yet? It's a learning curve.
Man, one of these days we're gonna get you on the level of just like spontaneous bullshit that I'm on, and it's gonna be great. We're never gonna have to have a written intro again because it's gonna be nothing but improv.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, you're getting there.
But on that note, if you want to. Sorry, I just shut down. Holy crap.
I thought you were about to say you just shit. I thought you just pooped your pants live.
My brain just went and I just shut down.
Yeah, again, this is like hour 3 of us having to be on. We work in like 30-minute sprints at most. We are very tired.
But anyway, thank you for listening to the episode, and we'll see you next week. See ya.
Goodbye, everybody.